So I have my app running, and I ran Rails server in the background, so I can see it here. And I can sign in using any one of the users that I've created, right? The problem is, how do I actually see all the users that are in there? Or if I wanted to add other stuff, which I'm going to show you how to do later in the week, such as pins or tweets or stories that users submit, how do I actually see all of them? In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to build an admin interface for your app. And there's a lot of different admin options that we can choose from. A lot of them have gems. I'm going to show you how to set up one called ActiveAdmin. And ActiveAdmin, there's a lot that you can do with it. This site actually shows you an example of the kind of thing that it's going to look like. It can get very complicated very quickly. ActiveAdmin is actually what we use on onemonth.com. So I'm just going to show you the default setup, and we're not going to go too much into customizing it. But what's important is that we need to have an admin section that only admins can access. So that's what I'll show you how to do. ActiveAdmin, the GitHub page, gives you a little bit of instructions for how to set it up. And I'm going to walk you through that. There's also some stuff that's not so obvious from what you read here that you'll have to know in order to do this properly. So just like a lot of our other installations, let's open up the entire folder. And I'm going to add a line to my gem file. I'm going to actually add this line right here. So gem, ActiveAdmin, and this specific version. There's two options here. This I like better because it specifies an actual version, whereas this will pull the gem from GitHub itself. But you never really know what you're getting in that case. So this line will also need this line right here, because this gem is sort of ready for Rails 5, but not quite there. So you have to do a little bit of customization by adding this gem as well. ActiveAdmin depends on a gem called Inherited Resources, but Inherited Resources is not fully ready for Rails 5, so you have to get this version from the GitHub profile. At some point in the future, this should get updated, and you won't need to put this line in here, but we need it for now. And I could save those, and then go open up a new terminal. I can keep the Rails server running in the background and run bundle install, which should actually install these gems for you. So it gives you a little bit of a message about ActiveAdmin inherited resources, but that should be fine. So it's installing a bunch of gems that actually ActiveAdmin relies on. ActiveAdmin, jQuery UI Rails, Ransack, Kaminari, a few of these, because ActiveAdmin does a lot for us, as we'll see. So we now have ActiveAdmin set up on our computer, and I need to actually install it into my app. So I'm going to run, if you go into documentation and guides and installation, the installation guide, or at the bottom here, installation, it gives you a few commands that you can run. ActiveAdmin by default can set up users for you, but if you already have users, such as we do, like you need to run this one. This is a little confusing because it says if you don't want to use devise, run it with skip users, but we're using devise, but we already have users. And if you run the other two, it'll kind of recreate a lot of the stuff that we already did in the last lesson for us, so we don't want to do that. So you do actually want to run this command. You can copy it and paste it in, or you can type it yourself. Now Rails G is actually short for generate, and we've been using generate before in the past. So you can just type, Rails generate ActiveAdmin install, or paste it in, and this has the skip users option added to it. So we'll run that. Basically, if we didn't add skip users, it would create a whole new user model for us, like we already did with devise. So in a sense, ActiveAdmin, it does actually use devise, or it could use devise. The two work together quite nicely. Now there's a few things that we have to do to get this started, but I think for right now, the first thing I can do is just Rails DB migrate. I'll show you that it created a new migration for us, and the migration is actually comments. ActiveAdmin has the ability for you to leave comments inside of the admin interface, which we'll see in a second. And if I run this migration, it basically adds comments into our database. Yep, and it's going. And the last thing I probably will need to do is restart my server. Almost always when you install a new gem and when you run some sort of generate command, you'll have to restart the server in the background. Let's see, for example, what kind of error you might get if you don't. Uninitialized constant ActiveAdmin. That's very classic of some sort of, you installed something and you have to restart the server now in order to actually see it working. So let's restart the server. Open up the app. Just load a little slowly, but we should be good. Try it again. Okay, there it is. Hey, Matan here with another quick message from the future after I recorded this video. So it seems like there's an update with ActiveAdmin that kind of broke what we have so far. It may not happen for you, but maybe it did. Maybe you saw this error, couldn't find file jQuery UI/datepicker. And I did a little Googling around. This was a notoriously difficult bug to try to fix. So rather than let you guys figure it out on your own, I decided I would show you the solution that I was able to find. Basically, you have two versions of gems, and they're not really compatible right now. And we, unfortunately, manually have to go in and tell it which version to use. So I figured out that the way that I was able to solve this problem was by going into the gem file, adding another line here after gem jQuery Rails, and call it gem jQuery UI Rails. And this is already a gem that we have in our app because it's required by other ones, but we're basically going to specify which version we want it to use, which is 5.0.5. Basically anything below 6 is going to work just fine. So once I have this in here and I've saved my gem file, I can go back, shut down my server, run bundle install, which in this case is actually going to downgrade the version of jQuery UI Rails that we have, as we'll see. See, okay, you have requested that. It has it locked at 6.0 per 1. So actually, in this case, I can run what it's saying. Try runling bundle update jQuery UI Rails. Bundle update jQuery UI Rails. And in that case, it's only going to update that one, or in this case, downgrade it. And once I've done that, I can run the Rails server. Try to refresh my page. And we're back in business here. So now back to your regularly scheduled programming. And sorry about that. Now, if you did all this stuff correctly, if you go to localhost 3000/admin, you'll see your admin section. So this is where we're going to have, the ability to check out what users there are, which I'll show you how to do in the next video.